Thank you so much for tuning in today. We are so excited to have Greg and Andrea join us. They are with Primerica, and they are going to talk to us today about protecting your greatest assets and what they are and what they might not be, and it might surprise you. So we're going to have a conversation with them about that today. We're super excited. My name is Vicki Lehman. I am the Community Engagement Specialist at Child Care Answers. Child Care Answers is the local child care resource and referral agency. We work in Hamilton, Hendricks, and Marion counties. We work with families to help them find childcare, get connected to additional resources. We offer parent workshops, community workshops, doing work in the community, really spreading the message about early childhood and why it's so important, and then working with individuals that want to start a childcare business. So that is us and a little bit about the work that we do. I'm going to hand things over to Andrea and Greg just to make sure that I respect everybody's time, and they will go ahead and get started.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for having us here. Again, my name is Greg Gorman. I'm a division leader with Primerica. But the way I got kind of involved was my daughter was in childcare, and Andrea will talk about being a position of passion, and you're doing the job and everything like that. And I just asked her local preschool, what kind of things are you offering your staff to help them out? And they said, I don't know. What are some ideas? And this just kind of ballooned into some bigger things. And, we reached out to Vicki, and we're partnered up with Child Care to help them out. And I've kind of reached out to some other areas of Indiana to see how I'm able to help out through them. So that's kind of my background and how I got involved.
Andrea, and while Greg brings up the screen share, my name's Andrea Davis. I'm also a division leader with Primerica, and my background is actually in childcare. So I was actually the former center director of day early learning at the state building, and I absolutely loved what I did, but then I needed to find a different vehicle for my passion of helping families. So super excited to be partnering with Child Care Answers because, again, being a former center director, I know all of the wonderful work that they do, the partnership that they have with my former organization, and just everything that they're doing to help the community. So Greg and I are super blessed to be here to present to you guys and talk to you about, protecting your greatest asset, which of course is yourself. So as we're waiting for the slide to come up, I'm going to talk on the front end just a little bit about who we are as a company and how we do what we do to help families. Greg will then come in and talk to us about protecting the greatest asset. And then we have a couple of other goodies at the end to just kind of let you know what resources are out there. So as I said, we are Primerica, and as we go to the next slide here, we are one of the largest marketing organizations in North America. We have offices coast to coast in Puerto Rico, Canada, and Guam. And go ahead to go to the next slide, Greg.
It's not jumping. There.
There it is. We've been in business for 45 years, and we have 5.5 million lives insured with us and approximately 2.6 million in investments. We're also listed on the New York Stock Exchange under PRI if anyone cares to look us up. But just to kind of give you a little bit of information about kind of where we came from. We are located, our home office is located out of Duluth, Georgia, with 2,000 dedicated home office employees to help support people like Greg and I in the field. We are very proud of our home office staff, and we are actually the largest employer in Georgia, just behind Coca-Cola and Home Depot, just to kind of put it in perspective, the operation that we have. And then, of course, we have agents all over the country helping middle-class families become financially bulletproof. We're also listed on the Fortune 1000 list, and that actually happened in 2020 amongst the pandemic. And on the next slide, you'll see that Forbes named us this year one of America's best insurance companies, which, again, we are just very proud of. On the next slide, you'll see where Forbes doesn't do it every single year, but back in 2015, they named us America's most trustworthy financial company. And I don't know about you, but I don't typically hear trustworthy and financial company in the same sentence. It's usually the exact opposite, right? So we're very proud of that. We've also gotten the Dalbar Mutual Fund Service Award for exemplary customer service, 18 years running, and have an AM Best Better Business Bureau rating of A+. So all of that to say that we're really a one-stop shop financial supermarket with home delivery. And what I mean by that, on the next slide, you'll see these are not all of, but several of the companies that we partner with in order to help service our families and meet them exactly where they are. So nobody needs to unmute to answer this, but take a look at the slide and see if there's any companies that you recognize. Usually people recognize Vivint, Bright House, Lincoln, Fidelity. So again, these companies have sought us out to partner with us because we do what's right 100% of the time for our families. And so whether it's protecting somebody's physical asset with Vivint, smart home security system, auto and home insurance, having a lawyer on retainer through Legal Shield, investing for the future, both short-term and long-term, or our staple, which is life insurance. If it's in the financial sector, here at Primerica, we have a solution for that family. So we'll go ahead and go on to the next slide here, Greg. And there's really 4 reasons why we are having so much success. One, there's really a high consumer demand for what we do. Who doesn't need financial education and to have somebody come alongside them and help them, their money work for them, right? Our proven concepts and solutions make a difference. My husband and I actually became clients of Primerica first. Before I joined in with the business. And within 10 minutes of sitting down with my Primerica agent, I was like, oh, this is what adulting is. Oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing with our money. Oh, this is, you know, a 401k is not an end all be all investment vehicle. I had no idea what a Roth IRA is or anything else, right? So just by following the concepts that were put into place, my husband and I actually paid off $10,000 worth of credit card debt in just a year and a half. So that's my personal testimony that the concepts and solutions that we do make a difference, because in just a year and a half, my husband and I were able to go from point A to point B and really achieve some of our financial goals. Our distribution system is our strength because again, we can bring home at home delivery and meet clients exactly where they're at on you know, their home turf where they feel more comfortable, because we know talking about finances can be intimidating and challenging. So we want to do everything within our power to be able to reach that client where they're at. And we also know that families that we service, you know, no 2 families are the same. So for one family, the solution might be the right answer, and for another family, this solution might be the right answer. And there's no right or wrong. It's just doing what's right for our families 100% of the time. And lastly, our compensation program is unique and revolutionary, which we are very proud of as well. So our goal here at Primerica is really just to help families achieve financial freedom. And one of the ways we do that is really teaching families how money works, because this is something that was not taught in our school systems. You know, I went to school many years ago and I was taught how to balance a checkbook. How obsolete is that now? I don't even know the last time I wrote a check. I don't even know if I have any checks left lying around, because everything I do is online banking now, right? So I would argue, what did I know pre-Primerica about the financial industry? And the answer is 0. I knew very little, next to nothing. I knew what my parents knew. My parents always told me, make sure that you're investing for the future. So I definitely started that 401k at work, but I had no idea about a company match. I had no idea what to do, you know. But I knew to do that because that's what my parents knew. But my parents didn't know anything else to teach me. That doesn't make them bad people. They also didn't know Spanish to teach me. So unfortunately, I don't know Spanish. That doesn't make them bad people. That just means that there is a need in our communities to go and help families to get that education so that they can become financially bulletproof. So the problem with money, as I just stated, is it doesn't come with an instruction manual. Everything in life, with the exception of IKEA furniture, everything in life comes with an instruction manual except your paycheck. Money comes in and money goes out, but oftentimes we don't know where that money went because we're asking where it went instead of telling your money where to go. People are having so many financial challenges because, again, as stated, there's really just no financial education being taught in the school systems to set people up for success. There's no financial game plan in place. Again, money comes in, money goes out, but we don't really have a game plan to get ahead, and we don't have a financial coach. See, when we're children, if I said as a child I wanted to learn to play soccer, what would I do? I would go and I would find a coach to teach me the rules in the game of soccer. As a child, this makes total sense to us. But then somehow, as we become adults, we're thrust into the world at the age of 18 or 20 and said, here you go figure it out. But we all go, well, we'd love to be a millionaire, but we don't have any financial education or anybody coming alongside us to educate us on how to do that. So doesn't it make good sense that if at the age of 5, I wanted to learn to play soccer, I'm going to find a coach, that at the age of 20, if I wanted to become a millionaire, I should probably find a financial coach to help me along that journey. Would you agree? So what Greg and I find in the field is that most people don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. Okay, how many of us have taken a road trip, maybe, 10 hours away? What was the very first thing after we got packed and sat down in our car is we pulled up our GPS and put in our destination and said, okay, it's going to take 10 hours to get there, but I know exactly where I'm going. Well, why did we do that? We put it in GPS so that we actually get there because if I've never been to that location before, how would I know to do that? And reading maps is so obsolete now, right? Well, it's the same thing with your finances. So what we offer our clients, customizable, confidential, and complimentary, which of course is just a fancy word for free, is a financial GPS. So we call it the financial needs analysis. And what this does is it takes a financial snapshot of where a family currently is and shows them where they want to be in the future and the most direct route and how to get there. And the really cool thing about the financial needs analysis is that it's super accurate. When I sat down with one of my family members, their child was 5, and one of their big financial goals was making sure that they paid for college for their child. Our system was so intuitive that it was like, okay, if you're going to go to a 4-year state school like Ball State here in Indiana, this is X amount of dollars that is going to be when that child turns 18 to go to school, which means you need to start saving X amount of dollars now in order to hit that milestone. Now, whether or not X amount of dollars here was a realistic goal or not, but then once we knew what the plan was, we then could take steps in order to implement that plan to make sure that they're successful. Okay, so it's really important that everybody has a financial needs analysis because, again, you're not planning to fail, you just don't have the plan in place. So to kick it over to my partner in crime today, Greg Gorman, to talk to us about protecting our greatest asset, which of course is yourself, I'm going to turn it over to him.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Just a textbook dictionary reference here. Insurance reduces your risk by transferring it to the company that issues the policy. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, what we do is we take complex financial words and help them for the mainstream family. And it's for the adults, it's hot potato. When a situation arises, do you want the hot potato? When the music turns off, no, you want someone else to have the responsibility. All right. And the easiest one to talk about is protection. Nearly half of Americans have no life insurance as of 2020. How's that going to affect their families? About 60 million of them are what we call underinsured. They have a little bit, but it really won't cover the bills, taking care of the kids, providing for your family in the future. The one big thing that comes up is debt. And the average person has about $90,000 in debt. And it comes in all kinds of varieties: credit cards, personal loans, auto, mortgage, student debt, hospital bills. It just inundates us for our lifestyles. And believe it or not, more than 1 in 3 Americans say a purchase of $100 or more would make them max out their credit card, which just straps their financial situation. And the other thing is, about 4 in 10 Americans would need to borrow $1,000 just to cover an emergency. And what kind of a crisis did that provide? I mean, I I was lucky enough. I just had this situation happen to me. My power steering pump went out on my vehicle, and I had to literally just pour fluid into it until I could get the parts, get the guy to do it, and within a day he got it fixed. But most of us, it's like, well, I'm going to be pouring fluid into it until Friday when I get payday. But then that puts a strap on the future weeks for yourself because you've just spent $1,000. And I'm just going to round up, but 8 in 10 Americans live paycheck to paycheck, which kind of goes back to that scenario where you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, but then you're in a bad situation come Monday. And how real and serious are these problems? And what company that is focused on helping Main Street families solve these problems? Just like Andrew was talking earlier, I mean, we have a lot of boots in the field there that sit down with families and talk to them one-on-one versus sending them to a 800 number where you're yelling representative at the elevator music. Worst case scenario, you turn around and you say, you know what? These bills, what can I do? I can do for GoFundMe accounts. And here's probably the worst case scenario. There are 660,000 nationally for funerals. 13,000 of those are Indiana, and in Indianapolis alone, there are 1,300 funeral GoFundMe accounts. And one of the things about GoFundMe is they charge you a percentage of what you bring in, and also each individual donation. So even though you've gotten on your hands and knees and asked people for help, part of that money is actually going to GoFundMe and not the family themselves. So we like to call things income protection because that's your greatest asset. So what if you had a toaster in your kitchen and on the 1st and 15th of every month, $2,000 popped out? Would you like that toaster? Yes. You'd probably even set a plate at the table for them. Would you insure that toaster? Well, yeah, $4,000 a month. Well, it's a magic toaster. It really doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a toaster. You are the money machine for your family. So doesn't it make sense if you're going to insure the toaster that you should probably insure your income? And here we have a scenario. We got two parents here and a child. She's bringing in about $3,500 a month. He's doing the same. They've got bills just like everybody does. And, they're living paycheck to paycheck. They're bringing in $7,000 and $7,000 goes out. But, we live in Indianapolis, kind of a scary town. And the worst case scenario happened. The man passes away. Now she's only got $3,500 coming in each month, and she still has $7,000 in bills. Now, is IPL or the gas company turning to you and say, well, we're really sorry for your loss. We're going to half it to make it match your income? No, you still have to keep paying those bills. And the stat is 90% of widows lose their home if their partner passes away, which I'm sure it happens for the widower too. How much of a loss is that for the family? Traumatic. And there's two kinds of life insurance when people can probably name off the top of their head. One of them is called cash value life insurance, and it goes by various names: whole life, universal life, variable life, blah, 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 blah. But here a family, John and Mary, they sat down, they got some coverage on themselves. They're paying about $225 a month, and they've got $100,000 on each of them. And again, when they project out the cash value in it, they're going to have about $76,000 when they retire. Now, wait a minute, let's go back. They have $90,000 in consumer debt. Most of that's going to be eaten up with the life insurance. How long can Mary last or John last if they don't have the income coming in? And $76,000. Are you retiring on that? I mean, they were bringing in about $50,000 a year. So a year and a half, she has to find something to do once she retired. So another option is what we call buy term and invest the difference. Sat down with John and Mary, got them $250,000. They were paying $80 for the insurance. We helped them invest the rest. And at a modest 9%, they had $265,000. Now the question is, which program would you want? Well, if you could get more for the same amount of money, wouldn't you want to pick the right option? And here's one of the things that we teach folks is called the theory of decreasing responsibility. That's kind of a busy slide, but on the top there, in your early years, you need a lot of coverage because you have a lot of responsibilities. You have young children, you have debt, maybe student loans coming to mortgages. So a loss of income, just like in that previous scenario there, would be devastating. But the bottom one there, you see the little dollar, every dollar coming in is going out. So you don't have a lot of money to start out with. But what we're teaching in the decreasing responsibility is you're getting out of debt, saving a little bit of money, and then once you get ready to retire, hopefully the children have grown or you've changed the locks on the house enough that they can't get back in. Your debt's lower, your mortgage are paid off. So retirement, actually having physical money to retire on, is going to be your key. Well, if you've got less debt and these responsibilities gone, you can start saving bigger amounts of money for that. So then you wouldn't need insurance in the end, because would you rather have $1 million in cash or $1 million in life insurance? So we talk about dying too soon, or I like to say your money doesn't die too soon. You don't want to run out of money in retirement and try to find a job at 70, 80, 90 years old. So what life insurance do you know of that teaches people how to eliminate that need for life insurance? Our philosophy is the 3 nevers of buying life insurance. Number 1, never buy any kind of cash value or whole life insurance, including universal. And we can tell you some of the problems with that. Never buy life insurance as an investment. Also, never buy a life insurance policy that pays dividends. And don't just take my word for it, but here are 4 others that have spoke highly on it. And the top right one I like is Susie Orman, because her famous one is, and I'll do my best voice of her, if you, a loved one, or someone depends upon your income, you need life insurance. And believe it or not, Dave Ramsey has his many steps on helping people out. He doesn't mention life insurance because that's just your basic need that you have to have in order to get started on getting to financial freedom. All right, and the last one here is, so when folks come up and say, okay, Greg, I'm good because I've got group life insurance through work. I don't need to have outside insurance. Well, a problem is only 1 in 3 small businesses offer any kind of group life insurance. So you got a 33% chance of that happening. And the average person goes through about 12 jobs in their career. So again, you're increasing your risk. You want to avoid the hot potato when something happens. And also, there's two scenarios there. Most of us think when we pass away, it's going to be quick. But usually what happens is we get sick and end up being in the hospital for extended periods of time. You are no longer an employee of that company, and oftentimes you can be denied. So group insurance is great because it's cheap and easy, but it's not something that you want to insure your family's future on. And now, because I'm going to turn this back over to Andrea to kind of finish us out here.
Yeah, thanks so much, Greg, for going over the different types of insurances and why you want a certain kind. So again, because we're talking about protecting your, greatest asset, which is you, we did want to mention a couple of our partners that we have with the company that really help that holistic approach of protecting you. So one of them is our connection with Answer Financials, having home, business, and auto insurance. So really what you want to do, and if Greg, you want to swipe to the next one, because I really like this quote at the bottom of the slide, is you should shop around for your insurance about once a year. Shopping for insurance is less like shopping for a diamond ring and more like replacing a toothbrush, right? Most of us only shop for a diamond ring once in our life, and a toothbrush, every couple of months, I feel like I need to replace mine, right? And it's the same thing with your home and auto insurance, because carriers really expect you to remain complacent and to stay with them. And unfortunately, those companies don't reward loyalty the way that we think we should, because if your vehicle has depreciated, there's a lot of external factors like weather, roads, trigger events that happen. Did you get pulled over, or did something, did license points come back onto your driver's license? There's a whole gambit of things that is taken into account when you get your auto insurance, and the same thing with your home insurance. Was there just a hailstorm, a snowstorm, whatever the case may be? And all of that to say, you want to make sure that you're getting the best rate possible. And if you're not shopping your insurance every 6 months to a year, what happens is you just get locked into a rate when in reality you could be saving, $500 annually, which is actually something that happened to one of my families that I was servicing. We had them call Answer Financial because, again, I don't know about you, but I don't have time to shop around my home and auto insurance every 6 months to a year and call 30 different companies. Like, as much as I want to save money, I just don't have the time to do that. And I think you would agree that you don't as well. So through our partnership with Answer Financial, what happens is you get a phone call from one of our partners agents, and within a 10 to 15 minute conversation, they're going to shop over 30 qualified companies, AM Best, Better Business Bureau, A+ ratings, to make sure that you are getting the best quality for the price point that you want. So I always like to say it's best case scenario or better case scenario. Best case scenario, you have a 10 to 15 minute phone call. You find out that the insurance that you have for home and auto is the best and is the cheapest out there for what you're needing. Fantastic, high five, don't change a thing. That's incredible. Better case scenario, you find out that you can save some money. So that way, once you've sat down, done your financial needs analysis with us, we could then plug that money that you saved from your home and auto insurance and have it start, towards your investment accounts or whatever it is that you want to do with that extra money. So make sure you're shopping that around every 6 months to a year. And on the next slide, we also partner with Legal Shield. So everybody deserves affordable legal protection, including you, no matter how traumatic or trivial the situation is. So just to kind of put that in perspective, I have some clients that have used having a lawyer on retainer through Legal Shield for various serious things like divorce, child custody, things of that nature. And then I've had some use it for trivial things like their coupon wasn't accepted at a Taco Bell for a free burrito. So not saying that's why you want a lawyer on retainer is to get free Taco Bell, but just to kind of show you the gambit of how critical it is to be able to have that legal advice. And I'm not going to go through everything on this slide. It's kind of a busy slide, so I apologize. But having legal consultations, there was a moment in time where I was having some trouble with my landlord and they were trying to do some things that I didn't necessarily agree with. So I consulted my lawyer that I have on retainer through Legal Shield, which is a low monthly rate of $25 a month to have this. And so I got free legal counseling through that. When it comes time to sign for a mortgage, opening a child care, really signing a lease, whatever it is, you can get a free contract review. Legal correspondence, reduced fee services if you do ever have to go to court. And the most important thing, which I don't actually see on the slide, is you can get a free will for you and your family. And of course, having a will is so important, especially in the state of Indiana, which many of you, I'm sure, are aware is a probate state. So what that means is, knock on wood, it's not going to happen. But if my husband and I were to pass away and our future children were left without their parents. We might verbally say, oh, his parents are going to take them, or my parents are going to take them, or whatever the situation may be. But if we don't have a will in place, it doesn't matter what we have verbally said. A judge is now going to have to rule on what's going to happen to my children and what's going to happen to my finances to support my children. And I don't know about you, but when it comes to my future family, I don't want to leave that decision up to a stranger in a court system. I want to have that stuff taken care of. So that's just another benefit of having a legal shield at your disposal. And on the next slide, we're going to talk about ID theft defense. So Greg, you can go ahead and show the whole slide here. But people who use social media are at a 46% greater risk of ID fraud. And I don't know about you, but it would be hard pressed to find somebody that doesn't use social media in some facet or another. You know, I'm not the biggest social media person, but I am on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, to name a few. And so at the very least, we want to make sure that our ID theft is being protected. So what's going to happen is they're going to monitor your ID and your social security number and things of that nature, just to make sure there's no funny business going on with it. And if there is any funny business, you're going to get an alert and they're going to stop those transactions. I just had somebody in our office, her and her fiance went to look at rings, and they were going to pay cash for their engagement ring, but then they found out, 0% financing, no interest. Okay, great. Well, let's just do that. And then that way we don't have to come out of pocket with everything right up front, and, you know, no interest. That sounds fantastic. Well, they went to do that and they got declined. So she didn't think anything of it. Oh, well, we were going to pay cash anyway. Well, she gets home. She didn't check her notifications at the store. And matter of fact, it came that because of the ID theft protection and because of the price point of the ring that they were buying, they stopped that transaction from happening until they got confirmation that, no, this was indeed actually you, just to make sure that, you know, nobody was putting something on their credit card or trying to use their information to, you know, kind of do bad things that people do. And we know that 1 in 6 Americans has experienced lost money due to a scam in the last year. So hopefully that's nobody on this call or listening to this recording, but I'm sure we all know somebody that has been scammed out of some sort of money. And so we just want to make sure, again, that you are protecting your family, protecting your assets, to make sure that that's not happening to you. And, oh, that's right, it costs an average of about $1,100 and between 100 and 200 hours to restore your identity, with all the phone calls and the hoops that you're going to have to jump through. So it's just better to have that taken care of up front. Lastly, and again, Greg, you can click through the entire slide here. I think one more, but we have partnerships with Vivint Smart Home Security System. And the really cool thing is it's called Smart Home, but you could use it for your business just as easily as you could use it for your home, right? We know that 1 million burglaries occur each year, and it's because 75% of homes don't have a security system. And 51% of burglaries are repeated in 6 weeks, with businesses being 4 times more likely to be burglarized. So I've been with the company for about 3-4 years now, and we partner with Vivint that entire time. But I was like, oh, I have a dog, I'm fine, I don't need anything. Well, then unfortunately our family dog passed away. And so you just kind of have this mentality of, oh, it's not going to happen to me. I don't need a home security system. I don't need anything. Well, lo and behold, it did happen to me. I was actually burglarized. My home had several things stolen. And you always think, oh, I don't have that much to replace. And then all of a sudden you don't have things and you go, I do have that much to replace. So the next week, you know, hindsight's 2020, my husband and I got our Vivint Smart Home Security System, and just the peace of mind that it gives me, knowing that everything at the home front is taken care of. Vivint is cutting edge and really leads the industry in, carbon monoxide testing, thermostats, anything that you could possibly need or want to protect your physical assets at your house or your place of business. They definitely have a solution for you. So we want to make sure, again, that we are taking a holistic approach and say, not only do you want to protect your physical assets and yourself, but then also take care of your personal items in addition to. So to wrap up here today, we just want to, again, talk about protecting your greatest asset, which is you. Unfortunately, if something were to happen to, if something happens to your cell phone and you have cell phone insurance, you're going to get a new cell phone. If something happens to your car and you have car insurance, you're going to get a new car. Unfortunately, just because you have life insurance does not mean you're going to get a new life, but think about the love letter that you could leave behind for your family and friends, and not have to be one of those, 600,000 GoFundMe's in the United States. We also, again, talked about having auto and home insurance and making sure that you're shopping that around to make sure you have the best rates. Having a lawyer on retainer and making sure you're getting that will in place is critical. Having ID theft protection, monitoring yourself and making sure that you're not going to have your identity stolen. And then, of course, having a Vivint smart home security system to make sure that everything else is encompassed as well is key. So we really appreciate you guys' time today. Thank you to Child Care Answers for inviting us in to have this partnership to be able to bring this information to you. I hope that you could hear the passion in Greg and I's voice as we were speaking to you today about these kind of tough topics. But again, we just want to make sure that people are not failing to, not planning to fail, but just not, they're having a plan in place. Excuse me, I got excited and got my words all jumbled up there. But here is our information on the screen. Feel free to reach out to either Greg or myself if you have any questions, or you want to take advantage of any of the partnerships that we have that we went over, or to get your own financial needs analysis put in place to make sure you're properly protected and investing for your future. We would love to hear from you. So I'm going to turn it back over to Vicki to close us out here today.
Thank you both so much. Thank you to Andrea and Greg for joining us today. Like Andrea said, please feel free to reach out to them if you have any questions. And that concludes the workshop for today.